This information you are about to hear and perhaps view. These are not necessarily the thoughts or the ideas of Gary C. Clement or the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast. We are in no shape or form affiliated with the parties this story is about or was interviewed for. Parts of this content may not be owned by or the property of Gary C. Clement, the Gary C. Clement Radio Show podcast, or G2 Network Media, or any other company we are affiliated with, and this information is strictly the opinion of those being interviewed. This content is for information purposes only, and although we may make reference to various news stories, we share our own independent beliefs about the content and provide our own opinions. Please enjoy the information. Hi, my name is Gary C. Clement, and welcome to the Gary Clement Radio Show and Podcast. Today on the show, we are privileged to have pastor, educator, author, and father, Reverend Dennis Marshall, who's here to talk about his early life, his journey of early schooling to become a top engineer in a Fortune 500 company, and being an advocate for our youth through his books and community involvement. How are you, sir?
I'm well, so thank you for this opportunity to chat with you and your viewers and your listeners.
So first of all, please tell us about your early days of life in school and how things were in your life at the time.
Oh, you bet. I would consider a lot of headwinds were present as I was growing up as a child. We were in poverty, although I never knew we were poor because there was always food on the table. But we were within the walking distance of the city dump. I would walk to school most days. In an elementary school. And I remember encountering a school environment that wasn't very inspiring or helpful for me in my scholastic journey. In fact, I can remember being ridiculed by some of the teachers. Later on in life, when I made my way to high school, the counselors to try to dissuade me from being interested in going on to college. So a good blue-collar job would be sufficient. Had some trouble in school and eventually was expelled. Now I had the opportunity to go to night school, but night school had this negative connotation in my community. It was really for people that had learning issues or they were juvenile delinquents. I felt I was neither. So my mother, I'm not going back. And she said some very powerful words to me as a teenager. She said, then you're getting a job. Mm-hmm. I got a job and was walking behind a motorized sweeper in a manufacturing facilities, going up and down their aisles, picking up debris. And one day I decided that I wanted to get finished earlier than usual. And I had that little sweeper self-propelled going as fast as it could up and down those aisles. And as I approached the end of one of these aisles, I squeezed the knobs really hard, the accelerator handle, and didn't slow down when I got to the end of the aisle. Instead, I whipped the sweeper around, and it whipped me. It threw me into shelves. Dust went everywhere as I tipped the device over. I was bleeding on my arm, and I'm just breathing hard, and I said, I'm better than this. Mm-hmm. That's when I vowed to get back in school. And upon attempting to get back in school in my hometown, they denied me access. And it wasn't until we moved to Cleveland, Ohio, that I was able to get my academic journey on path again. And I had to prove something to myself and to others. And I got mostly A's. I think I got one B in my classes. My chemistry teacher took a liking to me, and he suggested I should think about going to college. That's the first time I heard anybody say that.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And I did. I'm supposed to be the blue-collar kid, right? Mm-hmm. But now I have the fortune of having 3 college degrees, one of which is an electrical engineering degree. I also have a master's degree in pastoral ministry. So I'm just excited about the opportunity that God has created for me. Clearly, my story is not an isolated incident. I think children today are experiencing something similar, maybe not to that extreme, but in terms of feeling inspired in school, I think it's indicated by what the numbers say. I've heard stories of high school student graduating with the 4th grade reading level. That's appalling.
Hmm.
Some data that was shared that the average score for 13-year-olds declined 4 points in reading and 9 points in mathematics. That's alarming to me. So when COVID hit, I felt a strong tug and need to work with the youth. And that's what brought me front and center with what I do now.
Unfortunately, today we have more and more kids that are dropping out of school. I know that you went through something similar in your life as you were going through high school. What is your solution to try to combat some of this?
Oh man, I mean, I've actually observed students in classrooms and I've been really like very disappointed because the excitement doesn't seem to be there to really capture their interest. And I've seen students look like they're just checking out, daydreaming, not paying attention. It's just not something that seems to be of interest. Of course, that's not across the board because I've also seen some very enlightened children that are focused and that do extremely well. So our challenge has been to figure out how to get to the ones that are not doing well and what is the real issue and the challenges that they're faced with and how we help with that. Sometimes it's because of dynamics in the home environment. Sometimes it's based on access to materials or to the internet and other tools like that. Or sometimes it's just related to the motivation and the care that they might receive in the classroom setting. That's just a variety of reasons why that appears to be contributing to the issues.
Today, we're trying to level the playing field with education across the board for black kids, white kids, just everybody in general, especially with our schools. I remember years ago when journalist Tony Brown told me that if a kid does not have access to a computer, he will be in trouble. That's the one thing that will level the playing ground for black kids, white kids, minorities, period. Everybody be able to run a computer. What are your thoughts there?
Well, if that's the case, they're put in a disadvantaged position without a doubt. There's no question how artificial intelligence, for instance, AI, is becoming a key technological advancement in our nation, and I should say in the world. And any child that's not trying to connect to that and learning how to leverage that very insightful tool, they're starting off in a disadvantaged position. It's already difficult enough to compete in what doesn't appear to be a level playing field, but then to further disadvantage ourselves by not connecting with the technologies is just, that's just not a good route to take.
Now, you have something that you refer to as the three P's. Talk a little bit about that, please.
Oh, sure, I'm happy to. Three Ps is born out of my own personal experience. Um, Having had a very successful career in DuPont, I retired early as an executive manager to go into ministry full time because I felt the reason why I was born was to provide a service to others. And helping corporations make millions and millions of dollars wasn't scratching that itch. So now in ministry, I began working with pastors to help strengthen the church and its contribution to the communities where they reside. COVID hit, really turned our country upside down, well, the whole world. And I thought a lot about, prayed a lot about who are the most vulnerable in the middle of all of this. And two groups surfaced, seniors and the youth. And I just leaned into the youth and thinking about the challenges that they were facing and thinking about some of my own personal victories and how I got through the hard knocks and the difficulties that I encountered. And out of that came the three Ps. Three Ps is simply three P words that we believe if they're operating in your life, you have the greatest chance for fulfillment and the greatest productivity that you can achieve. And those three Ps are simply passion. That's the thing that keeps us going when we're on E. Pursuit. That's the thing that indicates there's no point of having a passion if you don't do anything with it. You have to activate it to be able to enjoy it. And then lastly, the one that tends to be the most elusive for most people is purpose. It's nice to pursue your passion, but you'll get to the end of life and look back and say, well, what was it all worth? What did I really achieve? How did that really impact? What legacy have I really built? But if you tie that into purpose early enough in your life, those answers are very clear. and you can see a direct line between what you're doing and fulfilling your purpose. So those simply are the three P's, and our charge is to help the young people begin to wrestle with those concepts earlier on in life rather than later in life. And our belief is that a child that does that and understands those three P's for him or herself will know would know best what to say yes to and what to say no to. If it's not in my purpose, I know that I'm not for that. Drugs, no, how's that going to help me achieve my purpose? No. Being stealing things, how's that help me with my purpose and my journey? It doesn't. Being more attentive in school, getting the things that I need can advance me down my pathway of life. Yeah, that's what I'm going to pour my interest into and my energies. So that's the concept of the three P's, is helping the young people understand that. And oddly enough, three P's not only works for the young people, it also works for adults.
Growing up for me years ago in the South, I believe that I learned about passion, pursuit, and purpose in life through our community church. Church basically was a gathering place for all of us as young people as well as for families. Where does the church play a role in this pursuit today?
Absolutely. And maybe the way to think about that is broader than my church. This three P's effort is through a nonprofit that I founded called True Teaching Ministries. And it actually bridges across multiple churches and multiple communities. We've done work in North Carolina, for instance, and in Texas. So it's broader than the church footprint. And it is about working with the youth through youth ministries, through youth directors, through pastoral ministries and churches and activities they're doing. It's also through activities in the community, through events sponsored by the local libraries or the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. Those are places that we're targeting to be able to get this out and make it available to as many youth as possible.
Who does your program target, and what has been the response?
It's been funny because we originally were targeting 6th through 12th graders because we wanted to help them really get an idea and have their eyes set on what vocation or aspiration they might have after school and how might they achieve what their goals are. And as we begin sharing that with parents, we got a lot of pushback and a lot of feedback from them saying, but don't forget the younger kids. Let's not forget about them. And so earlier last year, we began working on a series of products aimed at that 3rd to 5th grader youth that could benefit also from the three P's concept. And so the receptivity of that, now that we've launched these, it's a 3-book series we call the Three P's Funtastic Journey. And these 3 books, each book touches on one of the three P's, and the full set then pulled it all together to help the students go through fun activities such as crossword puzzles, coloring pages, and the like, for them to begin to identify what their passion, what pursuits seem to be most fitting for their passion, and also what's their purpose. Now, recognizing that they're still early in life and they're still learning things, so we don't cast any of that into concrete. It's just helping them develop a methodology for how to think about that as they continue to grow and learn. And the receptivity, as I said, has been phenomenal.
Do you have any books for young people about engineering for today in regards to how the world is now? Could you talk a little bit about that, please?
Well, as a matter of fact, I kind of did that, but I've spent more time talking about spanning out of the engineering and into the kind of work I'm doing now. But when I was in college, I played a leadership role with the Engineering Society. And as I was in school at George Washington University, we sponsored a career fair, and various company representatives came to our site, and we introduced them to the students, helped them to get summer employment, get connected. And in that process, one of the people that was visiting invited me to come to the DuPont Corporation as a summer intern, which I did do. And at the end of that, they were really impressed with what they saw, and they, on the spot, offered me employment. And of course, I'm kind of like, I got one more year to do. Let me kind of look at my options, which I did. And I did eventually come to and join the DuPont Corporation, but not as just a run-of-the-mill employee. They put me in their special leadership program. And in that program, there are like 2-year assignments in different capacities to try to give you a more rounded experience of the corporation. And this is kind of the thing they did with people that are targeted for some of their upper levels in their organization or within the company. So that was fantastic. So my first 2 years, I was placed in an engineering role, working on some new technology associated with an instrument that's used in medical settings, clinics, and hospitals. And the results that came from that were so phenomenal. They then bounced me into something they had never done before. Let's take these 2-year employees and put them in research. That didn't seem to make sense on the surface because research tends to be more long-term than 2 years. But they tried it with me. And that was such a success. They decided to make that available to all the other engineers as well. And I had already had my eyes set on becoming a manager at some point in my life. I wanted to lead people. I got that opportunity in my third assignment. And that was such a delight. And then my second to last job in the DuPont Corporation is I ran the engineering operations in the Gulf Coast. That was equally exciting. And each step along the way, I found myself being promoted and advanced. And it was just, the good Lord put a rocket pack on my back and I just took off. And then my last assignment, I was invited along with 4 other DuPont employees to do a corporate-wide pilot of a new well, it's not really a new technology, but new to us, on how to maximize costs within the corporation, something called C.Clement. And I was one of the champions that would help basically pilot programs around that. And if successful, then they would do a corporate-wide launch. And it was phenomenally successful. So those were some of my high points, I think, from my DuPont experience and career. So when I finally told them it's time for me to leave and took the early retirement, it was confusing to many. Like, how could you leave this? Mm-hmm. Are you leaving for more money? Mm-hmm. Well, I would like to say so, but typically that's not the case. So that was my corporate experience. I loved it. I have no regrets about the work I did within the corporation, and I have no regrets about leaving when I did.
You have had some fantastic opportunities in your life to work with the corporations such as DuPont, and I'm pretty sure other companies as well as a side thing. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI programs are under the knife in this current administration. Talk a little bit about how DEI helped you in your life and career.
Oh, no question about it. Affirmative action got me in the door, or at least gave me an opportunity. And when that representative from DuPont first met me for the career fair, he saw some qualities that he thought would be a real addition to the corporation. So when I began working, I still had to prove myself. I mean, the door was open, but you still have to do the work and you have to perform relative to your peers. Mm-hmm. And it just turned out that I was able to compete quite well with all of the DuPont employees, not just DEI, but everybody that was at my grade level doing the kind of work I was doing. Mm-hmm. And so affirmative action opened the door, but the work, my performance spoke for itself, without a doubt.
Yes, sir.
And so, and quite frankly, a number of the engineers that came in when I did through affirmative action, those gentlemen were brilliant. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. One guy worked on control systems for helicopters. That's extremely complex. Wow. We were always talking about new inventions. We would meet and over each other's homes and have a great time with each other. We'd talk about these new inventions that we had in mind that we could do, defining and designing computer systems and algorithms. And it was a phenomenal discussion. And so they didn't hire slouches. They hired people that could very well cover their own bases and compete quite well against anybody.
So it sounds like your organization actually has a project that's very, very needed in our communities and with our kids and young people.
That's why it's so important for organizations like mine and others in the community organizations to focus on filling in the gap, because it's unacceptable that our children will be left behind. That's unacceptable. And as long as we're breathing, it's not going to happen on our watch. And having taken that position, everybody's on board with it. All parties are called to the task, and we just got to do what we ought to do, any means necessary.
This has been a great conversation with you today. For those people who want to get in touch with you and learn more about your services and the different programs that you all sponsor, how do they reach you?
There are a couple of avenues. One is going to our website called truth-teaching.org. That's TRUTHTEACHING.org. And there you'll find about the full breadth of the ministry of this particular nonprofit. If you want specifically information related to the 3 Ps, it's a more simple domain name to type in, and that's simply 3-ps.org. And that'll get you over to then seeing the products and services that we provide there. And I've talked with you about the fantastic journey for 3rd to 5th graders. Then we have a more comprehensive process in place for 6th to 12th graders. We have a 2-hour workshop, and we have a 7-session process that we do that goes even deeper into helping students really map out a series of next steps for their journey.
Well, this has been a very good conversation with Reverend Dennis Marshall, who left a Fortune 500 company, DuPont Chemicals, to create his own vision for our youth. Any last words that you have for our youth today?
Yeah, I guess I would say this about the youth. Oftentimes I hear the youth are our future, and I have a slightly different perspective. I believe the youth are our now. In the present, while they're young, they're teaching us how to be better adults, quite frankly, because we have a responsibility for them. I know the Bible talks about happy is the man that has his quiver full of arrows, and it describes children are like arrows. And we're responsible for how we aim them and how far we help them to shoot, how far we help them to fly. And so our motto is helping the youth soar. We don't want to see them just survive. We want them to do even better than that. And we want them to soar to higher heights that they can achieve based on the purpose that they've been designed to fulfill. Purpose, that reason why we're here and what we're supposed to achieve and accomplish in life, and how we're supposed to impact the lives of others and making it better. So that's why we're targeting the youth. We want to see them excel. And I believe with the right environment, the right support, and inspiration, they will do just that.
We really do appreciate our guest who participated in this episode, and we hope you learned something that will bless your day and your life. For all who are interested in learning more about the Gary Clement Radio Show podcast, please visit www.amazon.com and order my book, The Gary Clement Radio Show, When Strong Afro-American Men and Women Stand Up. It covers everything about us and features a variety of Afro-American personalities who speak out about the importance of education and literacy in the Black community. Well, we thank you for tuning into our podcast. Please send us your email address so we can contact you when we have new releases and new episodes and new projects as well. You can reach us at gccpresents@yahoo.com. And also, if you're interested in submitting any materials or want to get in touch with us, please do so by simply sending an email to gccpresents@yahoo.com. That's G as in Gary, C as in Charlie, C as in Charlie, presents@yahoo.com. So until next time, do take care. And this is a G2 Network Media production.